In this video, we're going to review something that I did a little bit over a year ago, where I went to a university and I asked the students to identify the 10 photos that I had in my hand, and then I got them to rank them from 1 to 10, best to worst. On these photos included Jordan Peterson, Barack Obama, Winston Churchill, Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister of Australia at the time, Donald Trump, Che Guevara, Joseph Stalin, Chairman Mao, Genghis Khan, and Adolf Hitler. The idea of this experiment was to get an understanding of how much these students understand about 20th century history, and in particular about the atrocities that happened under communism. This was a test to see if our education system has actually been teaching these things or not. Should it not be of utmost priority to learn our history so that we're not destined to repeat it? And my cameraman, by the way, is my brother, who I'm actually going to be traveling with in the next few months and making content overseas. So if you guys like this format of content, then give me a thumbs up on the video and leave me a comment and tell me your ideas about types of content that I should do in terms of interviewing people on the street, because it is a bunch of fun. Let's watch the video and I'll check in at the end. Hey guys, so we are here with
Will,
Ali, Lita,
Laura,
Rowan.
60 million deaths of Chinese people due to internal repression.
Well, I wasn't aware of that statistic. That's insane.
And you're...
my name is Jeff.
You're very well informed about history, clearly, but you actually didn't really know about Mao Zedong. And one of the reasons we're actually doing this today is because we don't think that these things are accurately reported in the education system and in society in general. Like, I mean, that is Mao and Maoism and what happened in China is one of the, if not the most significant thing that happened in the 20th century. And no one that we've interviewed today has known a thing about it.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
It's Donald Trump.
Donald Trump? I mean, that's Donald Trump. It's pretty hard.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely Donald
Yes, it is.
Adolf Hitler, Barack Obama.
Ryan is really carrying the team here, boys.
Pick up. You had to do a little.
This one you should know.
ScoMo.
ScoMo, indeed. The great man. Look at that smile. Getting a little bit harder now.
Stalin.
Indeed, boys. Well done. You've never seen this man?
No.
Doesn't ring a bell whatsoever.
No.
Have you boys been on the internet for the last 4 years?
Yeah.
That's Jordan Peterson. Have you ever heard of Jordan Peterson? Oh, okay.
No idea either.
Che Guevara? Have you ever heard of Che Guevara?
No.
Cuban revolutionary communist?
Do you know that?
Do you reckon he's good looking?
No. He looks old.
It's not a photo of me. Nice. It's Che Guevara. He was a Cuban revolutionary communist.
Oh, okay.
Ever heard of him?
No. Oh my god, I don't know this either, but this actually looks like my cousin. Funnily enough.
Really?
We're not cousins.
Is your cousin Mongolian?
No. No. Who is this?
His name's Genghis Khan. He was a Mongolian warlord.
Wait, I've actually heard of that name.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to get the name wrong.
Just butcher it, butcher it.
John. Is this like that guy, the Chinese guy that did stuff?
He is a Chinese guy and he did do stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know.
Any idea what stuff?
Bad stuff.
Bad stuff indeed.
That the Korean dictator?
Kim Jong-un?
Yeah.
Mao Zedong. He's a dictator though, but he's from China.
Kim Jong.
We've gotten Kim Jong-un a few times. They must... No, it's Chairman Mao. Mao Zedong. So this is Chairman Mao. Mao Zedong. He was the leader of the Communist Party in the 20th century for China.
Totally wrong, man.
All right, so what we're going to do now, guys, is I know that a lot of them aren't overly familiar to you, but we're going to rank them from what you know about them, from best to worst. Cool?
Alright, okay.
Ethan's been put in charge.
He seems like a good guy. Oh.
Who's worse, Hitler or ScoMo?
Oh. Oh, I think they're equal now, though.
Do you reckon Hitler would have done lockdowns, boys?
He would have done a bit better.
Hitler probably would have had a good vaccine rollout. I tell you what, I reckon the cure would have been for COVID in Hitler's times.
Any of this
Did he murder people? Like he did.
He murdered a lot of people.
You can go with that.
But technically, so in a way.
It's a very, very sad day for me, personally. Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like it's disproportionately weighed towards what we would deem as evil or murderers.
Do you think that like there would be people, in particularly around these campuses though, that would potentially put him down there?
Oh, I think people who aren't totally educated on everything to do with Trump would put him down there just because they disagree with him ideologically. But I don't think that's an intelligent decision to make.
It's all a matter of perspective and how you ration things.
I
and how
don't
you
think there is
I
a
know.
perspective at which you can defend Trump as being worse than anyone on this side of the list.
I would agree with you there, AJ. 60 million bodies to prove it. This is actually a pretty good list, I think, boys. We've got all of the communist dictators at the very bottom. Now, interestingly enough, Lance, you seem to be a bit of an admirer of Joseph Stalin, but at the same time, you did say he was mentally ill. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I don't remember what I studied last year, but I know he was mentally ill. But, like,
What do you guys know about Joseph Stalin?
He's a communist. Leader of the Communist Party, and then he was around during the Cold War. Wasn't he also in World War II? He was in World War II. He was the one that signed the agreement with Churchill and who was the American? Roosevelt. Was it Roosevelt? And he did the Red Square. He was all the camps as well in Russia. They were very good.
What kind of camps?
The workers' camps. Yeah, workers' labour camps.
The gulags.
Yeah.
Right. What if I was to tell you that Stalin was responsible through his policies and through direct action for the deaths of up to 45 million people in the Soviet Union?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Moving on, Mao Zedong. What do we think about Chairman Mao?
Like wasn't like the officials came and like basically stripped the children away from their families or whatever and put them in like intense training and stuff, like, so it's like, you know, it's kind of like it's like less freedom, but at the same time it's not like as bad as like killing people, or, you know, I'm sure he probably like, you know, killed people, but not on a mass scale like the others, I suppose. And he was like a bit, you know, like I said, he's just like a very strict leader and like a bit like, you know, maybe some things that weren't very
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he was a strict leader, but you don't think that he was overly authoritarian about the way he led people?
Yeah.
Right. What if I was to tell you that his policies were directly responsible for the deaths of 60 million Chinese people during his reign?
Oh wow.
I just feel like a horrible person now.
Yeah.
Being
I mean,
like,
we put him pretty low, didn't we? So,
Yeah, but it's like...
Well, it's
I
actually,
feel like
what I'm saying is it's not your fault, but I think what we're trying to get at here is that the education system often doesn't really teach these things, and this is a major historical event that happened in the 1960s.
Yeah.
This was happening in the 1960s, where he implemented his Great Leap Forward, which then caused the starvation of multiple tens of millions of Chinese people. But it actually doesn't even get taught. Like, nobody
Yeah.
really knows about it, but everyone knows about Hitler.
Yeah, like Hitler was definitely taught, like, learn all about, like, you know, the World War II and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the rest of them I don't really remember much in school or anything.
It's actually not your fault at all, but it actually doesn't get taught to people, and that's what we're kind of saying. In Australian schools, we don't really learn about Mao Zedong.
That's, for me, that's not acceptable, because the first thing that you gotta learn to understand the present is the past. Even that's the thing that the most have impact on a child, on what a child learn, like to know the past, to understand the mistakes and everything and stuff. And I think that in the Australia state will help a lot, because Australia doesn't have a lot of history, like there is not a lot of conquest or stuff. So I think that learning about the other world's story would be a great.
I definitely think it's important to learn the past before we find our way into the future. So there we have it, guys. And let me say this. When I was their age, I knew absolutely nothing of these topics. way less than them actually. So they would have absolutely wiped the floor with me in a general knowledge test. So that says something. But I mean, I was a terrible student and never listened in school, so maybe that contributed to it as well. So it's definitely not me having a go at these students because like I said in the video, it's not their fault that they're not taught these things. And for me, it's more of the fault of the left-leaning education system that we have that refuses to teach the atrocities of Marxism and communism to our younger generation. And that only gets worse at university. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't, guys. Turn on all notification bells. And like I said before, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think or if you have any ideas for me and my brother when we're traveling.